Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes. Thank you all for coming. I know it's raining out there, and still you guys are here. You came all the way over to our little library, and thank you so much for doing this. And thank you to all your teachers and Miss Marianne and everybody, Mr. Tom and everybody. Thank you so much. And then I want to introduce you. Today you are going to meet two wonderful people. What did they do? They both are, one is illustrator, one is an author. So you're going to meet both of them, and when you see them, you're going to clap and introduce and then welcome them to the library. So I just want to ask you where you guys are. Do you know where you are at? Okay. I am going to say the name. Yes, you are all in the library. The name of the library is African American Research Library and Cultural Center. So we call it ARLIC in a short abbreviation. Okay, so you are at ARLIC Library. Today we are celebrating Ashley Bryan Art program. So we have two wonderful people, which is one of the author, which I said, and illustrator. The author's name is Carole Michelle Weatherford, and the illustrator name is Jeffery Boston Weatherford. They both are here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Carole Michelle Weatherford. Miss Carole Michelle Weatherford, she born in Boston. She's an American author, critic, and a poet. She has published over 50 children's books, which are nonfiction and poetry books. The music of poetry has fascinated Miss Weatherford and motivated her literacy career. She won multiple awards for her books, including 2022 Coretta Scott King Award for author for her book Unspeakable. So when she come in, please give her a warm welcome with a big round of applause, okay? And the illustrator, his name is Jeffery Boston Weatherford. He is an artist and a spoken word poet. Mr. Jeffery Weatherford is an illustrator of an award-winning book, You Can Fly, the Tuskegee Airmen, which is the You Can Fly book. You are all going to get a copy, okay? And he has designed and illustrated and published several children's books. Also, he has presented in US and Africa and has exhibited in numerous galleries. So he is an award winner illustrator for many children's books. So he will be here. So please give them a warm welcome, okay? And thank you all again. So we'll have a fantastic program beginning now till 1 p.m., okay? Thank you.
Check, check.
Good morning, Broward County. How you doing? We're so happy to be here. This is our second trip to Fort Lauderdale, and for our first trip, Jeffrey wasn't much older than you are. I think you might have been in middle school, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So we're glad to be back. That's me when I was in first grade. Yeah, I had pigtails. And sometimes they would have they called it a top knot. There would be like a third pigtail hanging down like that. Anyway, I've been writing since I was in first grade. I made up my first poem when I was in first grade. My mom was driving me home from school, and I said my little poem for her. I said, Mommy, I made up a poem, and then I recited it. And she was so surprised that she parked the car, even though we were just 2 blocks from home, and she asked me if I could repeat the poem. And so when I said it the second time, she wrote it down. And that was a good thing. You know why it was a good thing? Because I couldn't spell all the words. No way I could have spelled all the words in that poem in first grade. So what you see on the screen, can you all read cursive writing? A lot of times kids don't take, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna, yeah, I know kids don't learn cursive as much now, but I taught myself cursive when I was in first grade by copying what my mom had written down. So the poem reads, there are 4 seasons in each year, winter, summer, spring, and fall. Which one do you like best of all? I like winter. That's when the wind gives its pleasant call. My dad was a high school printing teacher, meaning he had printing presses in his classroom. And he used some of my early poems as typesetting exercises for his students. So I got to see my work in print at a very early age, like 2nd or 3rd grade, before there was any of the technology that you take for granted. All you have to do to see your work in print is push print on your device, and your work comes out of the printer looking just like it came out of a magazine, newspaper, book, or website. We didn't have that. The only machines that we had to compose back then were what? Typewriters. And you see what typewriter type looks like. It does not look like the type that's in your textbooks or websites or anywhere else that looks professional. Now, these were some of my favorite books when I was a girl. Raise your hand if you've read any of those books. Okay. All right, hands down. And when I was in 6th grade, our class had a newspaper, a little newsletter, really. My teacher's name was Ms. Hayes, and I wrote an article that you can see on the top. The type's kind of small, but it was about homework. I had to write an essay. It was really just 1 paragraph, but I wrote an essay about homework, and is homework necessary? And I said, yes, it's necessary, but you shouldn't have to have homework on weekends. So, so I guess I kind of, I didn't lose any friends over it. But in the first column, I'm showing the whole newsletter because in the first column, there's another little news item about me, and it was that I was one of 2 kids who, this is number 2, is 2 of our classmates, Carole Boston and Kathy Harris, won awards at the Woodlawn Bowling Center. So I used to bowl, and I had bowled to 200. That means you only have strikes and spares. So that was a big deal back then. The first time I was ever professionally published, that meaning by someone other than my dad or someplace other than a school publication, was in Metropolitan magazine, and the poem was a poem I had written about jazz. And I was about 24 years old, and at the time, I decided that I wanted to be a poet, that I was going to make that my life's work. I had no idea how I was going to do that, but I knew that I wanted to be a published author one day. When I was growing up and reading all those books that I showed you in the previous slide, I loved to read, and I especially loved to write poetry, but I had no idea that an author was a career path. I figured that all the people who wrote the books that I loved to read were dead, and I had no idea that those people were getting paid to write the books. But I did become an author in 1995. My first book was Juneteenth Jamboree, and one of my favorite books is Becoming Billie Holiday. It's about a jazz singer who was raised in my hometown, not Boston. Boston's the name, but Baltimore is my game. Baltimore is where I was born, Baltimore, Maryland, and Billie Holiday was raised there as well. My books have won 18 American Library Association awards. Those are some of the books that have won awards. So let's talk about writing. How many of you like to write? Okay. I'm going to do your survey right now, too.
Okay.
Go ahead. You know the question.
How many of you like to draw? Okay.
I want you to get excited about writing like that. Okay. So I'm going to give you some tips about how you can enjoy writing a bit more by becoming better writers. What do you need to be a good writer? You need ideas. How do you get ideas? You get them by reading. Raise your hand if you'd like to read. Okay, that's great, because you can be a reader without being a writer, but you cannot be a writer without being a reader. You must read good writing in order to learn how to write good writing. All right, so you need ideas. You get ideas from reading. You get ideas from experiences. But guess what? You don't have as many experiences as your teachers. You know why? Not old enough. You're right. You haven't lived enough yet. But you can replace your experiences with what you learn from reading. So you can, if you haven't been to France or to Africa, you can read about it. If you haven't seen an octopus in person, you can read a book about an octopus. So books can take you places. And you have to have imagination. Guess what you have to do for your imagination to work, though? You have to give your mind creative space. And that means putting down your devices. So if you have a phone or a tablet, imagination's not coming from, it's not coming from the tablet to you. Imagination comes from you to something else. Your mind into the world or onto the page, whether you're drawing or writing. You've got to use your imagination, and you have to put down the devices in order to let your imagination work. You also need vocabulary. That means you need words. So where can you find words? In a dictionary and a thesaurus, and also in the books that you read. And you can read things other than books as well, but reading builds your vocabulary. You need ways to organize your ideas. Some people take notes. Raise your hand if you take notes. Raise your hand if you've ever written an outline. Yeah, you know something, I don't like outlines. I'm not saying you should need to dislike them too. They have a purpose, but I don't particularly like them. And you can make lists. I make a lot of lists. My family can tell you, I'll also make lists for them. I've made lists for Jeffrey before, things to do, you know. But lists are very helpful. And I talked about word choice, vocabulary. The best words are powerful verbs and specific nouns. What is a verb? Yes. It's an action word, right. And the most powerful verbs are, well, the least powerful verbs are to do, to be, to have, to get. Those little first grade words, you know, you gotta really, bring your A game when you're writing. So you want to use more powerful words rather than to do. Well, to do could mean anything. That doesn't paint a picture. But if I say to jump, that paints a picture, doesn't it? You can begin to see. Now, nouns, you need specific nouns. Let me get you to say specific nouns.
Specific noun.
What is a noun? Yes. Right, or an idea. So guess what? The least specific nouns are the words that are contained in that definition. Person, place, thing, and idea. So if I say the person took the thing to the place, does that paint a picture? Not at all. But if I say the boy took the backpack to school, you begin to see a picture, don't you? The most specific nouns are proper nouns. So a name, rather than calling Jeffrey a person, I'll say Jeffrey. You call him by his name, Jeffery Weatherford. You also need cinematic scenes, and you need vivid images. That's where your powerful verbs and specific nouns come in. And description. Cinematic scenes just means scenes that unfold as if it's a movie, TV show, webisode, whatever. And you need a strong beginning, suspenseful middle, and unpredictable ending. And then you need to have courage to mess up the blank page or the blank screen, courage to write that first draft, and you need to give you patience and the persistence enough to rewrite. Rewriting is the most important part of the writing process. That's revision, simply means rewriting. My book, All Rise, is about Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was the first African-American Supreme Court justice who is a woman. And when I first wrote about her, I wrote it in prose. Prose just means in paragraph form. But then after I got the contract from my publisher, I decided that I wanted to rewrite it as a poem. And so what you see on the left is in paragraph form. It's not my first draft, but that's the version that the publisher bought. And then on the right is poetic, the poem that I wrote. So it's in poetic form. And when I wrote it, my editor, that's the person who works with writers from the publishing house, the editor told me, now it really sings as if Carole Boston Weatherford wrote it. So I'll read you a couple pages. Ketanji rose among her peers to be elected mayor of Palmetto Junior High School and 3-time president of Miami Palmetto Senior High School. She rose above the slight when a teacher would not cast her as a family member in a play because she was not white. Ketanji rose from acting and singing to conquering the debate stage, where she won national awards for public speaking. Under the wing of her debate coach, Ms. Fran Berger, Ketanji thrived. Ms. Berger believed in me, and in turn, I believed in myself. She rose above the debate judges who mocked her African name. She'd respond by saying it clearly and writing it on the board. Ketanji, Ketanji. Can you spell collaboration? Yeah, I bet you can. Great, you all get an A. All right, so Jeffrey and I have collaborated on 3 books together and more on the way. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeffrey now.
All right. Great. That was awesome. So, like my mother said, behind every great writer, behind every great illustrator, there's a history of reading great books. So, these are a few of the books that I enjoyed while I was growing up. Raise your hand if you know any of these books. A few of them, Tar Beach. So my sister and I, we used to fight over this book when we were growing up. How many of you have a brother or sister? So you might know what I'm talking about a little bit, right? Okay, so these books were books that I frequented. I would reread them over and over and over again. I love books about magic. Diadem was like Harry Potter before Harry Potter was a thing. Then we have the mystery series, the John Belair's Eyes of the Killer Robot, and Animorphs, which was about kids who would save the world. They had powers from alien technology. And then we had In Ned's Head, which was about a child who had an abundance and overflow of ideas, so much so that he would not be able to pay attention in class. And that was me in school. I always was having my head in my notebook, but not for the purpose of taking notes, but for the purpose of doodling. So by a show of hands, how many doodlers do we have in the audience? How many doodlers? Okay, so this next portion is for you, okay? This wonderful, hyper-realistic self-portrait I drew when I was in kindergarten. And when my mom saw it, oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
He looked just like that, too.
Thank you. So when my mom saw this portrait, she decided to put it into this big frame. So how do you think that made me feel? Happy, good, awesome. I felt like the best artist on the planet, and I felt like every single piece of art that I do should be framed and go into a museum. Except as a kid, we really don't have a concept of art supplies costing money or a concept of money at all. So my mom would do something very special. I would say, hey, Mom, I drew this picture. Could you frame it? She'd be like, wow, this is a nice tree, I guess. I'm like, Mom, that's me. I'm like, oh. Well, let's put this into the gallery of the refrigerator. How many of you have ever been in the gallery of the refrigerator? Okay, so go ahead and take that hand, give yourself a nice pat on the back, because that is where all artists get our start. You are in league with the legends already, okay? So as time progressed, like all of the artists that came before me, I drew inspiration from the world around me. What are some things that children frequently see? Plants, on TV, games. All right, so I see. Thank you, I appreciate that. So, all right. So of course, cartoons. That was the answer I'm looking for, right? Cartoons, anime. I see you're a connoisseur. I got you. Okay, cool. So, anime was something that I frequently watched as a kid, right? Goku, Vegeta, you know. All right. Hold it down. All right, so these are actual notes from my 3rd grade math class. All right, you can see at the top of the page, I had about 7 lines dedicated to taking notes, and then the entire rest of the page was dedicated, I see you, for anime. That's right. So if you are drawing pictures in your notebook while the teacher is talking, what can't you do? Take notes. Listen, that's right. Pay attention. So learn. So as a direct result of this, I would forget my projects, my tests, my quizzes, my assignments. Basically, I would forget anything that wasn't attached to my body, right?
Okay, so we're gonna do the skit.
We're gonna do the skit?
Let's do the skit.
All right, we're gonna do a skit for you all right? How many of you like playing video games? Okay. Awesome, hands down, hands down. All right, so you'll have
So
to
I'm gonna be his
imagine.
mother. I'm gonna be his mother, and he's 8 years old. He's 8 years old, and I'm 40-something.
Right.
All right, Jeffrey. Okay. And, let me set the stage. It is Sunday evening. Okay, you have to imagine it's Sunday evening, and it's been a long weekend. Okay, Jeffrey, turn off the video games, and let's get ready to check your
I'm
backpack.
about to win. Just give me like 3 more hours.
It's 7 o'clock, and it's time to wind down. You've been playing video games all weekend.
I can't save it.
You better save it, because I said turn it off. All
I'll
right.
pause
So check your backpack, please, and see if you have any tests coming up this week, any permission slips I need to sign, any projects coming up.
How many of you have bad handwriting? Okay, that was me, all right? Oh, it's upside down. Okay, so I have a project due
Okay, it's a good thing you looked. When does it due?
Monday.
What? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow's
And you've been
Monday.
playing video games all weekend, and how long have you had that? How long have you had the assignment? This is the first I've heard of it. Well, what is the project? I can't believe this. I cannot believe it.
Okay, so I have to do an infographic on a state, and my state is Colorado.
I'm about ready to kick you all the way from North Carolina to Colorado. All right. Your father? I'm gonna tell your father when he gets home. I just can't believe this. Look, how do you think it's Sunday night? How do you think we're even gonna get supplies to do a project? Hobby Lobby and Michael's and everything's closed. We didn't have Walmart in our neighborhood then. Where?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna tell. So what you're gonna have to do, since the stores are closed, is we're gonna have to see what we can find in this house tonight. You know, scraps of paper, magazines, whatever you can find to do this project, and you're gonna get it done tonight, no matter how long you've got to stay up. And you're gonna hand me that. You're not gonna get on that video game for a month. You're punished for a month. Let me have that controller. Can't believe it.
All right, NC. Little director cut thing. Okay. Nice acting. Grammy. A Grammy. Or an Emmy? An Emmy. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, soon after that, my mom decided to have a parent-teacher conference in which she discussed ways to get me to stop drawing so much in class. It didn't work. That's a little spoiler alert. But I did pay more attention, and she decided to put me into art classes outside of school, right? Because if you want to get great at something, what do you have to do? Practice. Because practice makes perfect. Boom, got it. All right, so I practice, and I had the opportunity to study under college level artists. I did something, hold it down. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate those claps. So, thank you. So I did something called a gesture drawing. Can you say gesture drawing? Okay. And you have probably seen one of these drawings before, but I'm gonna connect the dot, all right? So if you've ever watched the news with your parents and they talk about a court case and then you see like little funky drawings of the people, those are gesture drawings because photography is not allowed in court, okay? So those are gesture drawings. One of the career paths paths that you can have as an artist. This is a gesture drawing of an African parrot. We had about 15 minutes to draw this parrot. It was a live parrot, squawking, talking, flipping upside down in front of us. And it took about, that time to create this composition. Composition meaning how you play. Thank you. Not at 8 years old. I think I was probably in the 5th grade. Was that like
You
11
were
or
in
12?
sixth grade.
Okay, so 13, around that age. And you can see that I had eraser marks all around the page because, like my mom said, you can't be afraid to mess up the page. That's where art starts, right? You have to start messing up the page in order to get that finished product. So my mom, she framed this. That's how I knew my art was good whenever she put it in that frame, right? So as time progressed, I continued to practice. I continued to study under these college and master level artists. When I was 17, between my junior and my senior year in high school, I actually had the opportunity to have private art mentorship with my assistant principal by the name of Joseph Johnson, who is actually a children's book illustrator today. But he was a master level artist, and between my junior and my senior year that summer, I would spend hours at his house learning how to draw. And by the time he was finished with me, I drew another self-portrait. Thank you. All right, thank you. Hold it down. So the space between this self-portrait that I drew when I was in kindergarten and this self-portrait that I drew when I was in high school, that little space, that's time, dedication, and practice, all right? Because in order to become anything that you want to become, we know everybody in here might not want to be a writer, you might not want to be an illustrator, but there's something that when you say you grow up, I want to be a... Okay? All right. So you have dreams and aspirations that you have to work towards. And in order to become that thing, we're going to bring it back. What do we have to do? Practice. So if you don't take anything else from this presentation, understand that you have to put in that effort, put in that work, as they say, right? To become the person that you want to be. All right? So the type of art that I'm known for is called scratchboard, and I'm going to play a video for you
I
all.
think he's going to switch it over.
He's going to switch it over?
I think.
Okay, perfect. So scratchboard, it's a style of art that is subtractive. Can you say subtractive? Okay, now what subtractive means, most forms of art, they're adding something to the page. So if you're drawing with a pencil, you're adding graphite. If you're using paint, you're adding paint. If you're using pen, you're adding ink. But with scratchboard, I draw with little metal nibs or like sharp blades and pointy tools. And as you can see, I'm poking the paper, scratching the paper, hence the name scratchboard, and removing the surface to reveal light underneath. I'm quite literally drawing with light, okay? There are many different styles of nibs that you can use. I'm using a fine point nib to do fine details. I do draw with latex gloves on my hands because the surface of scratchboard will absorb human oil. Anytime you touch it with a bare hand, it'll leave a fingerprint. We found that out very early as I would present my work to my mom, and she would grab it and be like, wow, this is great. And then we would see fingerprints all over it. The process of scratchboard is you have to be extremely meticulous, meaning careful, because you cannot mess up. There's no erasing in scratchboard. So you have to be precise and deliberate with every mark that you make, right? Because you can't make a scratch and then pick the dust up and sprinkle it back on the surface because it's not gonna stick. So to this date, I haven't messed up on a piece of scratchboard. Thankfully, we're gonna keep praying that continues because you might have to start over depending on how big the mistake is. And this actual piece was part of the original pieces for Kin, Rooted in Hope, one of the studies that I did. And that book is now actually out as well. And you can see the artwork in the lobby. So the first book that I illustrated, our first collaboration was called "You Can Fly: The Tuskegee Airmen." By a show of hands, how many of you have ever heard of the Tuskegee Airmen? Okay. A few of you. So, for those of you who don't know who the Tuskegee Airmen are or were, I think there might be one or two left living.
A few.
Yeah. But they were the first African American pilots during World War II. Prior to that, there were no African Americans that were allowed to fly in the military. This is Howard A. Wooten Jr., one of the original Tuskegee Airmen. Of course, his actual photo on your left and the scratchboard rendering on your right. The process of scratchboard, as I said, I have to know exactly what I'm going to do before I start because I don't want to mess up. I don't want to make a mistake. So I do something called a study. And a study is where you're finding the composition, finding how different elements of your idea work and fit together. So I would use a program called Photoshop to place all of these images together, do a composite of all these images, and then once I was satisfied with how my composite looked, I would transfer that to Scratchboard. These are it. I once I was we did
This is your third. This was your third.
third book. So
Yeah.
due to the sheer amount of illustrations that I had to do in Kin, which was about 50, 51 or 52, and the fact that Scratchboard is extremely harsh on the bones in the hand, so I was developing like carpal tunnel in my hands because I was doing Scratchboard. I decided to switch to, well, my mom urged me to switch to digital scratchboard, and I developed a technique on an iPad and Procreate. How many of you have ever heard of Procreate? Okay, a few of you.
people.
It's an art program on an iPad. I use Procreate and my own digital scratchboard technique to draw all of the pictures that are within Kin, which is about our family history dating all the way back to the 1700s. Okay? What's segregation? Somebody want to tell me what segregation is? I saw a few hands. Did I see your hand go up? Just tapping your head in the
Yes,
back,
yes,
in the
yes.
white. All right, and who got separated in times of segregation? Black people and white people. But there was also separation for Latin people,
Latinos.
Latino,
Mexican. It was
and
mainly Mexicans. at the
Mexican,
time.
Native Americans, Asian people. If basically you weren't white, uh, you were given spaces that were not up to standard. So some things that were segregated, you can see up here on the screen, your buses, your waiting rooms, railroad cars, railroad coaches, restaurants, lunch counters, schools, public parks, swimming pools, restroom, water fountains, movie theaters, everything that was fun, hospital, even cemeteries to the ground that they buried people in was segregated. Okay? And on your right, you'll see my renderings of these segregation signs, the restrooms, public swimming pools, and different entrances for trains. What is activism? What is activism? Now you know? Hand up. Activism. What do activists do? Or name some activists that you know of or have heard of. Martin Luther King, and what did he do? Fought for our rights and our law, like our freedom here. Rosa Parks, and what did she do? Fought for us to have seats on buses. Right? Yep, we heard about him. George Washington, the first president. Yeah, he was an activist, definitely, for the American people. Absolutely. We're taking it way back. All right, so activists, what they do is they fight to change something that is disagreeable with them, right? So there's ways of activism. We have civil disobedience. That's like the lunch counters. Have you ever heard of the sit-ins, the Greensboro sit-ins? where college students went to the lunch counters, right? We have nonviolent protests, like what you said about Martin Luther King. One of his principles was peace, nonviolent resistance. We have marches, like the March on Washington. You have pickets, sit-ins, going to where you're not supposed to be. Boycotts, that's financial revolution, like what's going on with Target right now. And you have freedom rides, going to different places where segregation and laws were disagreeable and testing the waters. So these are illustrations from Call Me Miss Hamilton, which is a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court about the CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, the freedom rides that went through the South, and where busloads, of course, of Black and white people from the North risked their lives to test a new court ruling that outlawed segregation on interstate buses and railroads. So I'm gonna just read this.
Sure.
Could Black passengers really sit where they pleased? Was the law worth the paper it was printed on? Down south, the Freedom Riders' courage was tested. They saw the color line with their own eyes. In town after town, colored drinking fountains, restrooms, waiting rooms and entrances, and whites-only restaurants, hotels, theaters, parks, and swimming pools. Sometimes the protesters couldn't believe their ears. Without so much as a second thought, whites called African Americans out of their names, addressing grown men as boy and women as girl or auntie, rather than Miss, Mr., Mrs., or Mr. And African Americans were expected to answer. Hecklers called the protesters even worse, names too hateful to print. In 1961, Mary was arrested in Mississippi. In her mugshot, the sign around her neck bears no name, only a number, 21068. Again and again, Mary was arrested. She told one jailer who threatened to harm her that she'd fight as if her life depended on it. When another jailer trapped her in an elevator, she refused to scream, just for spite. Despite beatings, she kept resisting, relying on nonviolence to press for justice and equality. In Tennessee, Mary was arrested again, this time for picketing a theater that made Black moviegoers sit in the balcony. When the mayor came to the jail and called her Mary, she demanded that he call her Miss Hamilton. If you don't know how to speak to a lady, she said, then get out of my cell. That wasn't the only time Mary was treated like she was second class due to her skin color. In an Alabama court, a white prosecutor called her by her first name. Mary refused to answer unless he called her Miss Hamilton. The judge ordered her to respond. Mary refused again. The judge charged her with contempt of court and threw her in jail. 5 days later, she got out and refused to pay the $50 fine. Mary had news for that judge. She was not afraid to fight in court for what's right. With NAACP lawyers on her side, she fought the contempt charge all the way to the United States Supreme Court. In 1964, the highest court of the land ruled in Mary's favor, deciding that everyone in court deserved respect. Miss Hamilton had won. From then on, judges and lawyers addressed all African Americans in court as Miss, Mrs., or Mr., the same as whites, all because of the Miss Mary case.
Okay. So, can you spell research? Of course you can. All right, so this is some of the research that I did for a book called How Do You Spell Unfair? Magnolia Cox and the National Spelling Bee. Raise your hand if you're a good speller. I was a good speller, and Jeffrey was in a spelling bee. Raise your hand if you've ever been a spelling bee or ever had a spelling bee in your classroom. Okay. Yeah, spelling bees can be fun, but challenging. Okay, I did a lot of research for this project using newspapers. And I used newspapers because the spelling bee is sponsored by newspapers, still to this day. The book is set in 1953, and I'm going to share it with you. Now, there are some portions where I say, can you spell this or can you spell that? And what I want you to do is I want you to spell it very quickly so we can move through the story and get to the Q&A. The book is illustrated not by Jeffrey, but by one of my other collaborators, Frank Morrison. Magnolia Cox was no ordinary kid. Her idea of fun was reading the dictionary. From A to Z, she learned words, meanings, and spellings. She loved to read, study, and spell. In 1963, the 8th grader won her school spelling bee. After Magnolia passed a 50-word written test and an oral competition, she advanced to the Beacon Journal newspaper's citywide bee. That April evening, Magnolia faced 50 of the city's best spellers. 3,000 people jammed the Armory in Akron, Ohio. Can you spell nervous? With butterflies in her stomach and a lump in her throat, Magnolia listened to pronunciations and definitions before spelling each word. Magnolia got ruled out. Teary-eyed, she got her coat and hat and prepared to go home, but someone urged her to stay. Due to an error, the judges brought her back. Magnolia correctly spelled cleft, writ, pretentious, brusque, abstemious, graduate, felicitate, and apoplexy. Can you even pronounce those words? Oh God, I can't see that one. Can you see it, Jeffrey, from your side? Yeah, I can't see the top of it. Okay, so Magnolia battled this other contestant, and she won the title by spelling the word voluble. Can you spell voluble? With those 7 letters, Magnolia became the first African American to win the Akron Spelling Bee. Her prize was $25, remember this was 1936, and a trip to Washington, D.C. for the National Spelling Bee. Can you spell surprise? At events all over Akron, Magnolia was the guest of honor. Backstage at the Palace Theater, the spelling dynamo met dancer and actor Bill Bojangles Robinson and jazz musician and composer Fats Waller. At the Akron City Club, she dined with local bigwigs. African American clubs held fundraisers, and Black churches took up offerings to help with her travel cost. People also prayed for her. What's this say? Akronites now mention Magnolia Cox in the same breath as the boxing champion Joe Louis and the track star Jesse Owens. Can you spell famous? And let me just pause for a minute. If you passed the artwork on your way in, I don't know if you did, in the lobby, there's a picture from You Can Fly of a Joe Louis fight. Can you see? Letters and telegrams poured in from far and wide. Magnolia's school community was rooting for her too. Her teacher, Miss Grieve, brought her a new dress, and a man gave her a beautiful necklace. Magnolia also received 2 dictionaries to study. She spent 3 periods a day prepping for the National Spelling Bee. She memorized 100,000 words. Can you spell dedication? At Akron's Union Station, a military band and a crowd of thousands saw the spelling champ off to Washington. For her first train ride, Magnolia got on board with her mother, Miss Grieve, and Mabel Norris, a reporter from the Beacon Journal, the newspaper that sponsored the Akron Bee. "This is the most fun I've ever had," said Magnolia. Can you spell excited? But she was about to face some hard truths. Can you spell discrimination? Do you even know what it means? Magnolia would soon find out firsthand. On the train, Magnolia sat in a coach open to Black and white passengers. But when the train reached the Maryland state line, she and her mother were forced to move to the blacks-only car. Back then, segregation was the law in the South. When Magnolia arrived in Washington, she and her mother had to stay with a black doctor because the hotel where the other spellers stayed was for white customers only. Magnolia, as her mother, couldn't even ride the main elevator at the spelling bee banquet. They had to climb the stairs. Inside the banquet hall, they were seated away from the other spellers and their families. She and Elizabeth Kinney from Plainfield, New Jersey, were the first African-American students to compete at the National Spelling Bee since the 9 newspapers founded the competition in 1925. The 2 black girls had to enter the ballroom through a back door and were seated at a card table apart from the other spellers. Can you spell racism? Though second-class treatment met her at every turn, Magnolia could not afford to get rattled. She had to concentrate and to believe in herself. She remained calm and nailed word after word. Can you spell focus? The judges threw harder and harder words at the spellers. In the audience, Miss Grieve, Magnolia's teacher, bit her lip. One by one, the competition fell. Elizabeth Kinney misspelled appellation and placed 10th. When Doris Rubin misspelled acceptability, Magnolia advanced to the final 5. The judges, mostly from the segregated South, couldn't seem to stump her. Then they threw a curveball, a word that Magnolia hadn't studied, nemesis. N-E-M-A-S-I-S, she answered. Magnolia's teacher and the newspaper reporter protested. They argued that the word nemesis was not on the official list. Furthermore, in Magnolia's dictionary, the word was a proper noun referring to a Greek goddess, and thus not acceptable. The judges stood by their decision. Can you spell unfair? Magnolia was out. But what an achievement. She had made history by becoming a finalist in the National Spelling Bee. The spellers spent the rest of the week sightseeing. They visited the White House and the Washington Monument. Magnolia saw stamps being printed at the Bureau of Engraving. Can you spell amazed? At the end of the whirlwind trip, Magnolia took home a $75 prize and was honored with a big homecoming parade. Can you spell proud? Even though she didn't win the championship, Magnolia had proven that African American students are as smart as anyone and can compete and even excel when given a level playing field. That was Magnolia's triumph. So, a few years ago, probably about 4 years ago now, Zayla Avant-Garde became the first African American to win the National Spelling Bee. And guess what? She also has a children's book. So that's Zayla Avant-Garde. And so we're ready to take some questions now.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let me tell you, let me ask you, when you ask the question, oh, you have a mic for them? Great, okay, great.
Any questions?
How did you guys make the books?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, first I wrote the words, and then Jeffrey created, well, after I wrote the word, Jeffrey created illustrations, a few illustrations, like sample illustrations, usually 3, right? About 3. And then we sent the package, the manuscript, and say manuscript. Can you say manuscript? A manuscript is an unpublished work of writing. We sent the manuscript, that means the poems or the story, to a publisher along with Jeffrey's sample illustrations. And we tried to find a publisher who wanted to publish it. After the publisher acquired or bought the manuscript, Jeffrey and I had to sign contracts. That means agreements allowing the publisher to publish our work. And Jeffrey had to create more illustrations. And that takes time. Generally, how long does that take, Jeffrey?
Depending on the decisiveness of the art director, because I can't just say, all right, these are the illustrations that are going in the book. It's a collaborative effort between their marketing team, their art director, their creative team. They have to sign off, so it can take anywhere from one year. Typically, I'd say is about the minimum amount of time that it takes. But I've been working on one book for seems like 10 years at this point.
Okay, so Jeffrey has to create the illustrations, and I also, if there are any revisions, if there are any changes that the editor wants, then I have to make revisions before Jeffrey can even start the artwork. After that is complete and the art director or the designer designs the layout of the book, then they send the layout as a computer file to a printer, and the printer prints the project. The children's books generally are printed either in Asia or Latin America, and they're printed on big printing presses that have 4 colors of ink: cyan, magenta, indigo, and black. Those colors make up all the other colors in the rainbow. And the book is printed on huge sheets of paper that have to be folded and trimmed to page size. And then those pages, those sections, which are called signatures, let me get you to say signatures. The signatures are groups of pages that are usually 8 pages or 16 pages. And those signatures get glued, stitched, or stapled into the book cover. And once the cover is on the book, that happens at the bindery, the book is published. And that whole process, if everything goes smoothly, can take anywhere from anywhere from 18 months to 2.5 years, but sometimes it can take longer. Next question.
What were your guys' how did you get those ideas to make the book?
That's a good question. I get ideas. I write about history a lot. I write about the past, and I learn about the past in my travels. So I like to visit museums and historic sites. I learn about history by reading books and articles and newspapers and magazines, listening to National Public Radio, watching movies that are historical. I also get ideas from family members and educators, teachers who give me ideas of what to write about. And I get ideas also online. So the ideas are everywhere.
She's coming right now with the mic. She's coming with the mic over there. So we'll take that side and then I'll go to the middle.
When did you start making books?
I started in 1995.
And I started in 2016.
Yeah.
All right. We got a question in the middle.
When you said the mind always comes from a book, I think, but on YouTube Shorts, my mind just
Everyone quiet so we can hear the question.
imagine something from my mind, like when I was watching YouTube Shorts. Oh yeah, Jeffrey. That's my stepdad name, by the way.
Okay.
You want to answer that? I didn't understand it. Is that a comment? That was a comment. Okay, thank you. Thank you
Appreciate
for sharing
you.
that.
How many pages do you do?
The books are usually in, remember I mentioned the word signatures? Books are usually in multiples of 8. So a book is going to be a picture book is going to be 32 or 40 pages, maybe 56 pages. But the number of pages in a book are always going to be divisible by the number 8. So we have books that are, You Can Fly was about 80 pages maybe. Ken is almost 200, right?
All right, I need you all to quiet down so you can hear the questions, okay?
Did you work with other people?
I have. I've worked with a lot of illustrators because I was as I said, I started in 1995. That's when my first book, Juneteenth Jamboree, was published. Some of the people that I've worked with more than once, besides Jeffrey, are Gregory Christie, Eric Velasquez, and Frank Morrison. I've worked with all of them multiple times.
I haven't worked with anybody else as of yet.
And you better not either. No, I'm
Okay,
joking.
all right.
Now I want him to work with other people.
How long did it take for you guys to make a scratch book?
So a scratchboard, I think the shortest amount of time has been about a year. And again, that's because I have to do back and forth with the creative team. So I can't just say, yes, the book is done, these are my illustrations, and put them in the book now. And they have to approve them first before they can go into the book. And if they feel like I should change something, I have to do that because, of course, it's a contractual agreement and they're paying for the work. So I have
And he
to make
also
sure.
has to do some research. I talked a little bit about my research, but Jeffrey has to do picture research as well. He just doesn't, the illustrations don't come out of his head necessarily.
How did you guys meet?
How did we meet? Okay, that's a good question. Well, we met on June 1st, 1989, when I gave birth to him. So
Yeah.
I'm his mother. He's my son. We just met. No?
Hello.
That's a new one.
Quiet down. Let's listen to the next question, please.
Wait. How many years you start making books?
Well, I've been a published author for 30 years.
And I have been published for 9 years.
What inspired you to do art?
So,
a good question.
Yeah, so I feel like my mother, she was writing from a very young age. And from a very young age, I always had an affinity. I was always drawn to art, right? No pun intended. But I was always drawing in class, right? That was something that I felt like I couldn't stop doing. And then, of course, that inspiration, that spark of creative energy just continued to grow, and it was never snuffed out by anything. So that's pretty much what happened. I had a mother who recognized creative energy was important and what I was doing could potentially lead to other things. So she nurtured that energy, and that's the reason why I am where I am today, because it was nurtured as well.
Thank you. 2 more questions. One from your side, Miss Francie, and then this young man right here. So we have 2 more, and that's it.
How many books did you guys make in total?
Okay, I really have lost count. I have between 75 and 80 books. It's probably closer to 80.
You'll be able to talk to them later.
Wait a minute. I have 2 books coming out next week. Family Feast is one of them, and it's my first book that my dog is in. And I have another book coming out called Grind. Guess what it's about? Skateboarding. Does anybody skateboard? A few people? Okay, it's a book about skateboarding.
Cool.
You answer too. How many
Oh,
books?
I have 3 books. 4?
4.
Do I have 4? No,
Yeah.
3 books. Do I
Yeah,
have
3. Is it
No,
3?
okay. I have 3 books.
Hamilton.
And I have more that I'm working on. So
Yeah.
hopefully within the next 2 years it'll be out.
How
many people buy your books?
Not enough.
Not
Right.
enough.
But I would say, I don't know, probably thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't know if millions of people buy them.
Yeah.
But if you count all 80 books, probably millions of people have bought them.
All right. Can we give the Weatherfords, Miss Carole Boston Weatherford, Mr. Jeffery Boston Weatherford, a round of applause? All right, all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They really appreciate that, and we are so grateful to have a mother-son duo here with us at the African American Research Library and Cultural Center, an author and an illustrator, the perfect match. And they are not only an author and an illustrator, but they are award-winning authors and illustrators. So the name of this event that we are doing right now, I'm sure you've already heard it, but I'm going to say it again. It's called the Ashley Bryan Art Series. Ashley Bryan Art Series. And the Ashley Bryan Art Series is an event where we have every year where we bring in an award-winning illustrator. This year we were lucky, blessed, however you want to call it, to get an illustrator and an author. We bring in an African-American illustrator who has won an award to engage with children throughout the community, like each and every one of you. Does anyone know who Ashley Bryan was? Okay, so Ashley Bryan was a renowned artist, illustrator. He also has written children's books, and he was a puppeteer. He really wanted to ensure that Black children had an opportunity to see themselves in books. Do you read books, or you see people that look like you? No? Okay, so that's what Ashley Bryan wanted for each and every one of you, and that's why we have this event today. So Ashley Bryan donated, listen up, some of his artwork to the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. And he said, I will donate my artwork, but you have to make sure that you do annual events for children, Black children, where they can see, award-winning illustrators. And that award-winning illustrator has to donate a piece of their artwork so that we can add it to the walls of youth services. So if you go upstairs, you're going to see original art pieces by award-winning illustrators. Today, do we have an award-winning illustrator in the house on the stage today? Are you sure? Because I don't hear you like I heard you earlier, do you? All right. Well, Mr. Jeffery has agreed to donate a piece of his artwork to the African American Research Library and Cultural Center for us to put in our youth services area so that you all can see. Now, before we unveil, I'm going to call up one of our very special people at the library, Miss Erin Purdy, and she is our archivist supervisor. Do you know what an archivist is? Okay, well, she's going to tell you. Give her a hand. Give her a hand.
Good morning. And to some of you, happy birthday. Whose birthday is it? Your birthday. Happy birthday to the birthday people. Okay. Did you guys know that upstairs in this library, besides the art that's in youth services that Anitra talked about, there's a special treasure vault, and it's filled with rare books and artifacts and photographs that are over 200 years old? Okay, so I have a really cool job. Like Anitra told you, my name's Erin Purdy, and I'm the archivist here at this library. As the archivist, it's my job to take care of the treasures that are upstairs in the vault. And like Jeffrey said, you have to practice to have a cool job. And I've been practicing my job for 17 years. Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to talk about some of the treasures. In the vault upstairs, we preserve more than 9,000 rare books, hundreds of artifacts, and over 2,000 boxes filled with letters, records, and photograph. 2,000 boxes. These treasures come from collectors and collections all over the world. The artifacts, archives, and rare books that we have here document the history of Black people. It documents the history of people of Caribbean descent, African descent, and African American people. These materials tell really big stories about very important people. And like I said, some of the items are over 300 years old. Here in this library, we protect these treasures so that they don't get lost or forgotten. We organize them and make sure that they're safe and sound for everybody to see and learn from. One of the most important facts about the treasure vault upstairs is that it's open for free to all members of the public. So you, all of you, and all your families can come and do research in the treasure vault if you want to. All you have to do is make an appointment and come see us. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, one of the most important collections that we have upstairs is the Ashley Bryan Art Series collection. As of right now, it contains 67 original pieces of artwork created by 19 different children's illustrators. And of course, that includes 17 pieces of artwork by Ashley Bryan himself, who Anitra talked about. For the last 23 years, every year since 2002 during this program, our very special guest illustrator donates a piece of original art used in a children's book to the collection. And this year, the amazing Jeffery Weatherford is donating the 2025 edition to the collection. And it will be the 68th piece of artwork that we have in the Ashley Bryan Art Series collection. All right, so everybody say, thank you, Jeffery. I just want to say to you guys, the Weatherfords, we're truly honored to be able to preserve your artwork and make it available for future generations and to the public. It's really very special. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, guess what? Do you see that black cloth over there? The artwork is right there under the black cloth. It's been here the whole time. Are you guys ready to see it? Okay. All right, get ready.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in the mix, truly. Appreciate you all. Y'all are super hype. Super hype. Absolutely. So this is a representation of my ancestors, Isaac and Nan Copper. The title is Isaac and Nan. It is digital scratchboard, and I'm partially speechless as I am talking right now, but partially speechless on the response and just being in the mix with all of these legends and being part of that legacy. So thank you all so much.
All right, friends, thank you so much for being amazing listeners. Okay, and now let's take a deep breath. Excellent. Because this is very, very, very important information. But first, let's give the Weatherfords one last big thank you. Clap, 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 clap. You did a great job. Excellent. All right. Deep breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Okay, you have to listen because this is how you get lunch. Okay, so you have to pay attention. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Okay, hold on to that, but we have something extra cool. Are you ready? Okay, but listen, but no, lunch is coming. Lunch is coming.
What am I supposed to? I'll take a picture. Huh? Record it. Oh, okay. From here? Let me go from here then.
All right, so not only am I a children's book illustrator, but I am also a children's book author, okay? My most recent book is called Wrap It Up, all right? It's a book about hip hop. How many of you like hip hop? All right? You love hip hop? All right, cool, okay. You'll be my judge after this, all right? So not only am I a children's book author, but I am also a rapper. Yeah, that's right. My secret identity has been revealed, okay? So what I'm about to do for you, I need you to be very quiet, okay? Very quiet, hands down. Eyes on me and ears open, okay? So I'm going to perform a rap for you, all right? But I need y'all's assistance, okay? Can y'all help me? Are y'all still here? Okay. So when I point to you like this, we're gonna do something called call and response, all right? When I go like this, I need y'all to say, yo, what's the word? Yo, what's the word? Okay, that was good. I like that. So when you hear me say, your words can set you free, I need you to say, in the hip hop zone. Your words can set you free. Your words can set you free. Okay. Y'all are keeping up. All right? So I need y'all to remember what I just said, okay? All right? So DJ, are we ready? All right, quiet. Word is, I was born holding a mic pad and pen. My pops put out a record and I could let it spin. My mom claims I was rapping before I could speak. Matter of fact, I freestyled like 8 days a week. Once I grabbed a mic and I rapped for 5 years straight. I earned a gold record my first time out the gate. Wait, that's an exaggeration. Call it hyperbole, but here's the real deal. Y'all can learn to rap from me. First things first, grab a pencil and some paper. Cop a notebook too, cause you're gonna need it later. Rap speaks raw truth, so write what you care about. Memories, mysteries, morals, or your whereabouts. Shout out your hopes and heroes, boast and don't be shy. Write what matters most to you, keep it fresh and fly. You breathe freestyle lyrics as if fire's in your lungs and flip figurative language like it's your native tongue. Try imagery, oxymoron, onomatopoeia, devices like decibels banging out of your speakers. Metaphors, alliteration, idioms and similes, personification, puns, and those slamming soliloquies. These terms sound like germs, but don't act like you're scared. They come natural when you talk, you have a knack for flair. People online dictionaries for synonyms and sounds, potent words like vivid verbs and concrete nouns. Choose vocabulary as colorful as you, words fresh as green, bold as black, cool as blue. Make a rhyming word list to power up your verse. Pick words that fit your meaning and freely intersperse. Rap makes word magic with acrobatic rhyme. Near rhyme is permitted, and hip-hop is no crime. 2 lines called couplets are known as a bar. You stack your best 16 as if a ladder to a star, but you gotta fit the right amount of syllables per line. Count 11 to 15, think a nickel and a dime. And as you write, remember the rap is poetry. With rhythm, rhyme, and flow, your words can grow a tree. And once your lyrics written, dive in and perform it. And practice in the mirror like the crowd crowd is enormous. Spit your lines loud and proud so each verse is perfect. It takes time to get it right, but the words you write are worth it. You rehearse and repeat until you know your bars by heart. Let your voice paint pictures, cause rap is truly art. Rap is your megaphone when you're a real MC. In the hip hop zone, your words can set you free. 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 Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Y'all are a great audience. Y'all are super hype. We appreciate the love. We will. Don't worry. I got you. Thank you.